is normal. And it's like the thing is, like normally when he's sleeping, oh, that doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't.
Normally when he's sleeping, it's like when we first put him to bed and we're still awake, we have like the TV on or whatever, and like the white noise kind of makes it so when we talk, it doesn't matter. But now I'm in a silent studio, so it's not. We'll see how this works.
We're live, so say hi to everybody.
Yeah. Are we in the chat? I'm not gonna do the chat.
I got it.
Tonight.
I got
it. Okay.
Hey, Weston.
All right, I got it poured. All right, let me grab them.
Okay.
Hey, Buster Brown. Hey, you. Hey, Guy. Here.
That having the baby on me put Kristen into labor. Oh, Dimitri's with us too.
Hi, Dimitri. We got all kinds of happiness happening on the show tonight. We got to do something to make Solomon crack up and make that baby just start to scream.
That's grandparent logic right there.
There you go.
All right. Kristen, I bet you're ready. It's only a few more weeks, 3 more weeks, Kristen? To the due date? I was telling Kristen's watching Jeff that Weston being there may put her into labor early.
I did not know that Kristen was expecting. Congratulations, Kristen.
Dimitri's joined us as well.
Hey, Dimitri, it's the greatest day of the year, right? When are you going to get one of these guys? That's next.
12-3.
It's such a treat. Oh, buddy.
All right. So, John, do we want to try to get through both stories? I think we're just going to get bits and pieces of Solomon tonight if we get that much of him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Weston might settle down.
Let's. Should we plan on starting with New Belgium?
Yes.
And then if we got it,
yeah,
we can back up. Yeah, makes sense. I like it. I do. Oh, Matthew's joining us from Turkmenistan or wherever.
Bangkok.
There you go. That's right.
Where he couldn't get a crab omelet.
Maybe crash the party. Crash the she shed. All right. I think I'm ready to go if you are, John.
Well, my cheese is half gone, but I haven't had any wine yet because this is my first Beaujolais Nouveau, and I've been restricted from trying it until we actually start recording.
And I'm here just, whenever you're ready, go for it.
Yep.
I probably won't be paying attention, but I'm here. This will just be fun. You'll just watch me bounce the whole time.
Yep. The bounce and the rock. I know that move well. All right. Yeah, I think I'm ready to go.
He learned that working in a record store.
From you, all right? I learned it from watching you. All right. Live streaming is going. Chat's going. Notes are up. Chat. Kristen says he's adorable, Jeff Solomon. And no, she's not talking about you. She's talking about Weston. At least that's my assumption.
Very cute. I'm gonna be standing up for this episode.
Looks like he's gonna pass out here soon.
He's settling in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting there. It's the witching hour in my neck of the woods.
All right, here we go.
Oh, put the headphones on Weston for this part.
All right, take two.
My name is Angus Winchester. I'm the Global Education Director for BCB, and I often describe myself as an alcoholic with a bartending problem. You're listening to the We Like Drinking podcast, the place where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 254 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing the latest brewery buyout in Colorado, and we're popping wine so fresh you can still smell the carbon paper. So crack open your beers, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking!
This is episode Speaking in Whispers.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, everybody listening, like especially Stub, Val, those of you that like to yell back at us, shh. We've got
whatever you do, guys, you'll notice I'm a different energy tonight. Don't wake the baby is what I'm saying.
Don't wake the baby. That's the episode name right there. Don't wake the baby.
And if you're wondering what we're talking about, welikeDrinking.com/show. Say hi, Weston.
So, cheers, my podcast drinking friend. Oh, I guess I really don't have to whisper over here. So, cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 254 of your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast, focusing on fun and nighttime, sleepy time, night time. So if by now you've realized that you really should never miss another episode of the show, be sure to visit welikedrinking.com/subscribe to find out how you can get subscribed and never miss hearing us on Fridays or Thursdays or Wednesdays, whenever we release the show. Who the hell knows? Fun show tonight. I'm excited about this one. You know, this is going to be a tasting episode. So we do these once a month. We're doing wine this month. And I looked back, it's been since July since we tasted wine on one of these, because we had to have, you know, we did British beers in there. We just did favorite drinks for episode 250. We went to the Claw, but we're getting back.
Did White Claw really bump out a wine episode? That's bullshit, dude.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So we're back to wine, where we moved the episode record date to Thursday, the third Thursday of November, which should be a big clue to everybody what we're drinking this month. We took it to the patrons. The patrons said, let's do some Gamay, ladies and gentlemen. So we are drinking the Gamay grape. You know, we could have gone Cru. We could have gone Village. We went Nouveau. Come on. It just got released today. It's fun. It's light. It's easy. So that's what we're going to drink this month. Right?
Yeah. Even Wikipedia says it's a session wine.
At 13%.
I was actually going to say, looking at the percentage and thinking about it, I think Beaujolais Nouveau is it tastes like a session wine, but it'll still F you up. And this one, I think we're all drinking the same one. It's 13%. So just be gentle, those of you thinking you're going to take it to the house. Please don't.
Yeah, no. And a fun fact for this week's show. John Ruyak This is his first Beaujolais Nouveau he's going to be drinking. So I've ordered him to not drink until we get to the tasting portion. So
All right.
we see his
Just-
expression.
Just a second. Stub. I know Jeff just said fun fact, and I know you yelled it back at the radio. Shh, there's a baby.
Yeah.
So let's get to this. Let's find out who we're drinking with. We already know what we're drinking, but we're joined by our usual panel members. We've got our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and recovering wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, I'm rocking the baby.
We have our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
Hey, how are you doing?
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. And tonight, as I said, we are drinking Gamay. We are all, in fact, drinking the Beaujolais Nouveau, just released today. Going to be getting into that. So, lost my train of thought there for a second. Sorry about that. My mom says give Weston a taste of the grape, Jeff.
Well, I think if anything, I think the Beaujolais Nouveau is like the bubblegum cigarette of the wine world. So here you go.
That's a good analogy for it.
It kind of, I mean, I get hints of bubblegum sometimes. We'll talk about it.
And candy cigarette. So
And candy cigarettes, yeah. It's a little chalky, a little bubblegummy.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into the Gamay, you know what we got to do? We got to get our brains functioning at highest capacity before we dumb them down with wine, beer, or pop culture reference. So this is where I give the panel and the viewers a term, and they try to tell me if it's a wine term, a beer term, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is terpenes. So is terpenes a wine term, a beer term, or some kind of pop culture reference? Weston, I will go with you first.
Weston says, wah. So, terpenes in general, and I'm sure somebody's going to correct me on this, but I'm definitely in the ballpark. When we talk about terpenes, I think about these aromatic type of oils that come from various products that come out in suspension. Typically, when I think about terpenes, I gravitate towards beer, and I think about maybe like that there might be terpenes in the oil of hops. I will say also, if you're into like distilled spirits that have like herbs in them, like an absinthe or a gin. What I like to do is pour absinthe over ice and watch like the terpenes like precipitate out. And I'm sure folks that are down with like the sticky icky might talk about the terpenes in their cannabidabidus. But I'm gonna say terpenes are a beer term, either that or it's like a minor league hockey team affiliated with the Sharks.
Okay. Dimitri says it sounds like something that California would ban for maybe giving one mouse cancer once. John Ruyak.
I thought maybe it was what I used to remove the stain from an old table, but that's turpentine.
Yep.
But actually, yeah, I concur with Solomon. This is an oil that's present in hops, and I think a brewery, was it New Belgium or was it Odell's, that recently released a beer that they isolated some terpenes out of some hops and put it in a beer.
All right, so you're going with beer term as well.
It's a beer term, yep.
All right, you both are correct, and John, you get bonus points because that's where I was going. Telluride Brewing up here in Colorado.
Okay.
Working with a company called Oast House Oils. The oil company has figured out a way to pull those oils out of the hops, and they've just released their first beer using that called Galloping Juice. If you are subscribed to the Focus on the Beer podcast, they had them on this past week talking about it. Fascinating discussion, about 47 minutes long. Definitely recommend checking it out. I have got to see if I can find a can of this at least, because it sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah, Telluride beers. I've seen them here in Albuquerque. It's closer to Albuquerque than it is to Colorado Springs, but yeah, I've seen their beers in on the shelves. So
Telluride, isn't that a Beatles song? She's got a Telluride,
and she
Come on.
don't care.
Terpene. Nice job, guys. I really threw that in because you should go listen to that episode, because it's really fascinating to hear.
Did you
them
say
talk.
nice gob?
Job? Maybe
I thought you said nice gob.
But the terpenes that they're using are actual hop terpenes. So they took some of the, because Chef Solomon was right, they use this a lot with cannabis to extract the CBDs or the THCs or the ABC.
Oh, interesting. So
they're using
they got some processes for the CBD industry and now extend that to hops. Same family, of course. We know the story. So interesting. That's cool stuff.
Yep, to pull out the hop oils from there, and they're even talking about separating out from the alpha acids as well, so you just get the pure extract. Really fascinating discussion. So, John, you may really like to check that one out.
I am going to do that.
All right, so let's do this Beaujolais Nouveau / Gamay discussion. Jeff, do you have anything, or are you just here for the? Oh, you're doing a feeding right now. Okay.
Oh, I'm feeding off of my breast. This is called a binky, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, so I thought maybe Solomon learned a new skill.
So there's a lot to break down with this one, and I'll try to keep it somewhat short. And I guess we'll kind of do two pieces to this one. We'll do the Gamay portion of the talk, and then we'll do the Beaujolais Nouveau portion of it. So Gamay in general, high level, we're looking at a very light skimmed grape, very low tannins, high acidity. So you're looking at something similar to Pinot Noir. Really, in this does make a good food wine. People may not think that it does, but because it's low acid or low tannin, high acid, it does make a pretty good food wine, especially with lighter style foods, fish, even chicken, those kind of things. This is something you can go with. France is obviously the major producer of this from the Beaujolais region, which is just north of Lyon. And weirdly enough, when it comes to like demarcation, this is part of Burgundy. Burgundy, is thought of as the Pinot Noir capital of the world. But this southern portion of the Burgundy region is Beaujolais, 100% Gamay grapes for the red wine. There is another wine that they can have for whites, but it's 98% is Gamay. So that's primarily what you're looking at. If we get a little bit more nerdy about the region, there's 12 regions, 10 of which are classified as cru. So this is going to be your highest level wines. And these are actually wines that you can age. Most of the time when you think of Gamay grapes or Beaujolais, you're thinking of the Beaujolais Nouveau. You're thinking of the wine that we're drinking tonight, which isn't meant to age. It's early production, drink it early, fruit forward. But when you get into these crus, you can get a lot more ageability. You get a lot more denseness to it. You get a lot more flavor, a lot more spice, character, everything else that goes along with it. When you're tasting Gamay, not the Nouveau, but the Gamay, you're looking at a lot of flower kind of aromas, cherries, raspberries, plums. Can have a little bit of earth. John, I know you're saying, oh, it's a French wine, it's going to be all earthy and nursery and blah, but you can get a little bit of that earth. Once you get to the Beaujolais Nouveau, you're looking a lot more candied kind of fruit, bubblegum, candy cigarettes, as Jeff Solomon, Jolly Rancher, those kind of aromas and flavor profiles. Usually Gamay is a pretty aromatic wine. John, I don't know if have you poured anything yet?
I have. I've poured a glass.
Have you gotten your nose into it at all?
I did a little bit.
What kind of aromas are you getting on this?
So before the show, before Solomon checked in, you've got the Beaujolais Nouveau in your glass, and you're swirling around. You're going Beaujolais, because it smells like grapes. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's a little more complex than that, but
I mean, I definitely
it smells like, truthfully, a very high quality grape jelly.
Okay. I won't say no to that. There's definitely some candy aromas. I'm interested with Dimitri or Matthew, anybody watching. But have you guys gotten into any of yours? I know Dimitri is drinking a Village, a Beaujolais Nouveau Village, but I'm interested to hear if you guys have any aromas or notes that you're getting on yours. So some of the crews that you can get when you're looking, if you're out looking for them, and I have a tough time. I don't think you'll find these at like your neighborhood wine shop, or you won't find them at your grocery store. This is one that you kind of need to go to a wine shop to find. And even then, the one I went to today and asked them about, they are like, no. Kristen's sipping on water tonight, which is probably a good idea.
Good idea.
So some of the crew villages that you'd be looking at, we've got Brouillet, Chénat, Chéroble, Côte de Brouillet, Fleury, Juliana, Morgon, Moulin-à-Vaux, Régnier, Saint-Amour, and then those are the crews, and then you got Beaujolais and Beaujolais Village. Beaujolais is really where you're going to get a majority of the Beaujolais Nouveau, the more simpler Gamay grapes. Beaujolais Village is going to be a little bit higher, and then Cru is obviously going to be the highest level wines that you can get. John, what kind of questions do you have about Gamay?
Well, it's more about, I guess, the history of it and the reason why. I mean, is this, hey, we need, why was this done? Why all of a sudden it's like, were we just trying to get something in production and get it out was it a reward to the people that were picking the wines that, hey, it's ready already? Is it
as far as the Nouveau goes?
Yeah, the Nouveau. Why?
Yeah, I think it started out as, a way to get something out. And it became a big thing for a while. Like in the 70s, 80s, it was a massive party when this stuff came out on the third Thursday. It was a celebration of, this harvest. It was a way to celebrate the harvest being completed. And it became a big thing in France, and it worked its way out. And then it was only like in New York where they could be released. And then eventually, I think Minneapolis maybe was like the second place, but now they've jacked it up to massive production levels. And now it's anywhere that you can get it, you can get it in any neighborhood store. But yeah, it was really to celebrate the harvest and that the new crop was ready to go, if you will.
So you could make the argument that this is wine in its purest, simplest form, is it not?
I guess you could, so if we're going to start talking about the Nouveau a little bit, we can talk about why it's different. So this is typically, we're really talking a couple months, like 8 weeks since they picked these grapes, and we already have it here. So Dimitri spent some time in Beaujolais on his honeymoon. He was like worried that he wouldn't be able to drink Nouveau again after getting to experience the cruise, but he's he's happy to say that he's enjoying it. And he's right. It's just a party in a bottle. And that's really what Nouveau is. It is meant to drink early. It's meant to drink right away. This, like, if you get a bottle of this, you don't even want to wait till the new year. I mean, just open it up and get to work. This is to celebrate. This is a party. This is a quaffable, easy drinking, low tannin, fun wine. And you will see people get so butthurt about Beaujolais Nouveau Day and how, oh, it's crap wine and it's no good. And it's like, it is what it is. Like, it is a celebratory drink on the third Thursday of November that you're just supposed to get and have fun with. So, John, I see you're getting into it a little bit. So I did want to talk a little bit about how this wine is made. So, typically with a red wine, you're going to pick the grapes, you're going to crush the grapes, you run off, and then you're going to ferment the grapes, right? Well, with these, they use a process called carbonic maceration or whole cluster fermentation. And John, we've talked about this recently with something else, but this is using an anaerobic fermentation on the grapes. And so what they'll do is they'll take the grapes and they'll throw it into a big bin, and then they'll seal it up and they pump some carbon dioxide into it. And then the grapes naturally crush some of the grapes on the bottom, so they get some runoff, and that starts fermenting, releasing more CO2 into the chamber. And this pushes all the oxygen out, right? And so now you actually have fermentation going on inside each individual grape. And so that's where the fermentation starts. And they let it sit like that for a while. Now, it's not fully carbonic maceration. It's what they call semi-carbonic maceration, because eventually they do crush it and then they put yeast in it and they let regular fermentation happen as well, because I imagine it would take too long or something if they tried to do just 100% carbonic maceration. So what does that do? Well, when you're talking about red wine, you get the color, you get the tannins from the skins, right? So once you crush and you're doing your fermentation, its skin contact is putting that in. When you have this anaerobic fermentation going on inside the grape, there's no skin contact. So you're getting fresh, fruit-driven, fruit-forward wine when you're done with it. And then obviously they have to have some skin contact or we wouldn't have the color. And that's why they do crush it and put it through normal fermentation. So Jeff, anything you want to add to that? Am I missing anything?
I mean, I'm the one that missed a bunch of stuff, but I was changing a PB diaper. No, I mean, I think you hit the nail on it. John had this question about, is this wine in its simplest form? And if I didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on, I was about to run to the microphone and say, well, not really. And particularly because of that carbonic maceration process. I mean, that's not a simple thing right there. What I will say is, as far as freshness goes, I think that Beaujolais Nouveau has it in spades. I kind of think of it on some level in the same way that you think about like a fresh hoppy ale. Like, you want to drink it as soon as possible, just because you're never gonna get a chance to drink wines like that other than the moment that they are released, and especially like a red wine that young. I feel like I saw the other day that there is another type of red wine that's actually been released before Beaujolais Nouveau. Fuck those guys. They're just trying to be one-uppers, dude. They're trying to pull a Jeff Solomon. So I think you hit it well. I do find it interesting. Are we all drinking George de Biff for the Beaujolais Nouveau?
We are.
It was, I will say this. I felt like I was kind of in a rush. I got a lot going on today. So I was sprinting through Trader Joe's on my way home from work today. And this was the only one I could find there. I have been at you know, you go to like a cost plus world market, and for some reason, you know, their wine selection's all right, but they'll have 20 different Beaujolais Nouveaux ready to go on Beaujolais Nouveau Day. Like it's interesting where it's like where you least expect it, you'll just walk in and you're inundated with Beaujolais Nouveau. I was kind of bummed out that there was only one that I found, and I was also hoping there would be an end cap at Trader Joe's. What the hell, Trader Joe's? Have an end cap for Beaujolais Nouveau. Don't make me dig for it.
Are you like the shop I went to? I had to say, "Where's the Nouveau?" And he had to like go grab the case and crack it open. I know, Weston. It wasn't funny.
At Total Wines, it was right inside the front door. It's just like, boom, there it is.
Here it is.
So yeah, I guess interesting. The other thing about the carbonic maceration that I was reading about is that it does that fermentation away from the skin because tannins are much more dissolvable in alcohol than they are in water. So that's what keeps a lot of the tannins out of the wine itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as tasting goes,
so well, hold on, because you said you smelled like kind of jelly or jam, grape jam.
Yeah, I would say grape jam. I wouldn't say, not Smuckers, but that expensive stuff with the red and white lid.
Right. Yeah, and I can see that, and I definitely do get kind of this bubblegummy just like a candied Jolly Rancher kind of aroma to it as well. Or candied sugar kind of thing. I don't want to say full on candied sugar, but there's definitely a candy quality to it. We'll get Jeff's thoughts on it in a moment, but on the tasting, John, I do want to go with you first on what do you think on the tasting?
So we had the gentleman on a couple of weeks ago with cheeses of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was speaking about a cheese that I've had before, way back in the day, before I guess it became verboten here in the United States because it's made with raw milk, and that's Morbier, and that's a morning cream dusted with grapevine ash, and then the afternoon cream put on top of that, and that's how they make that Morbier cheese. Well, here in the United States, there's a product called Mobay, which is made in Wisconsin, excuse me. And it's same concept, two different types of cheeses with that grapevine ash in between it, but the bottom layer is goat cheese and the top layer is sheep milk cheese. And that's a pretty, that's some pretty fatty, some pretty rich cheese. And I've been eating that. And then I just took this first couple of sips of this Beaujolais Nouveau. And it's interesting. I think the mouthfeel is more important at first than the actual taste. It almost tastes effervescent. The acidity is high, but it almost, to me, almost tasted like it's slightly carbonated, even though it's not. It's an absolutely completely still wine, but just the sensation you get in your mouth from it seemed to me like there was a little bit of sparkle going on in there. Yeah, not even frizzante, but less than that. But anyway, it's so very interesting. But it's just wow. I want to say it's an acid bomb, but it's close. So very cleansing. I get almost just a hint of a grape Jolly Rancher type of thing going on at the very beginning. And then the acidity kind of just explodes it all over your mouth. And then there's not a lot to think about here. I mean, it's there, you taste it, and you're salivating, and then there's a little bit of aftertaste going on, but not a lot. I mean, it's just like I can go on to the next thing that I'm eating, and I can take a sip of wine, and it'll help to balance out that fatty food that I'm having at the time, and then it's done. And then you take another sip, and it's like, oh, look, a Jolly Rancher again, but then it's gone, and then it's more acidity. And I can see where, I'm not going to drink the whole bottle. I think I could get a little bit of acid fatigue by drinking this, a lot of it, where, kind of like your mouth is getting frayed a little bit. Just too sensitized to the acid where, it would be like eating too many Sour Patch Kids and your mouth is just destroyed, right?
You know what, John? Like, I'm actually glad that you're bringing up like that acidic component, and you're bringing up, that there is like this little, maybe a little carbonation thing happening. I will say that there is not an insignificant number of people that say that they can taste wines that have gone through carbonic maceration. The other thing I'll say is, because it is so fresh, I bet you there still is some carbon dioxide in solution. I'm gonna mute my microphone.
That's okay. So that's an interesting point. Yes, because generally, if it's that fresh, and when you're brewing beer, and we've talked about this before, so there probably is some carbon dioxide in solution, or some carbonic acid, or is it carbolic? I forget. Whatever it is, it's when you brew beer and you're adding, at the end of the process, when I put it in the bright tank and I force carbonate it for a couple of hours, we talk about finishing beer at certain volumes, right? So that there's an actual dissolved amount of carbon dioxide in the beer that's actually 2.5 times the actual volume of the beer itself, because there's lots of room in between the molecules. But when you start that process out, there's already a half a volume of CO2 suspended in the beer. So I would imagine there's probably pretty close to a half a volume, at least a third of a volume to a half a volume of CO2 dissolved in this wine. When you think about it, a lot of that stuff, when it ages over time, it just off gases and it goes completely still.
Yeah. And Jeff, did you want to try and get something in?
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely do get that carbonic note there, and it does actually seem a lot more present as compared to some Beaujolais Nouveaux that I've had in the past. Maybe it's because we're talking through it, maybe because this is actually the first time I think I've had a Beaujolais Nouveau on Beaujolais Nouveau Day. I've had a couple like the day after. Maybe it's just so fresh that you only get it on this day. What I also think is really kind of neat about Beaujolais Nouveau is that people get excited about the vintage expression in these, because you're not masking them with oak or anything, because of time frames too. You don't really get to wait till your optimal ripeness or like optimal like fermentation levels, and so it's kind of fun how much more different Beaujolais Nouveau could be from one year to the next. I will say something else while I have a chance. You know what else I picked up at Trader Joe's? I had to go to Trader Joe's because I got the turkey and stuffing flavored potato chips to go with it, because everybody knows that Beaujolais Nouveau is the perfect Thanksgiving and Christmas wine. So hopefully when I take a bite of those chips in a little bit, I don't wake my son. I swear he just fell asleep a second ago. But I think that's going to be a good pairing as well. Cheese, whatever. I think turkey and stuffing chips are the way to go.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say that the Beaujolais Nouveau is a great wine to serve on Thanksgiving. And I do agree with that, especially if you're having a number of people over that may have a wide variety of palates and what they like when they're drinking wine. This is going to be a crowd pleaser. We talk about that a lot. This is a wine that you will have a lot of people that like. And, if you have some more hardcore winos that, kind of turn their nose up at it, then you can have something else. But with the acidity, John, that you mentioned, with what the Thanksgiving meal is and the low tannins, and there are some tannins present here. I mean, they're not.
There's a little bit of a drying effect now after I finish the first glass.
Yeah.
I also detect a little bit of minerality too. This is grown in some pretty, grown in schist sand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah.
And it helps that it's released on the third Thursday and Thanksgiving is on the fourth Thursday. So you're able to grab some bottles of this, have it for Thanksgiving, and then you're done with it. Unless you have your Thanksgiving chip meal earlier in the week, and then you're all set, Jeff Solomon.
Yes. The pairing is great. I'm so sorry. I finally got a chance to sit down and I didn't know what to do with myself. Oh, this is beautiful.
Well, to
And the
go
wine's
back to
good, too.
the carbonic thing. I mean, you guys have noted that other quote unquote vintages of Beaujolais Nouveau aren't quite at 13%. So if there's more alcohol, there's also more carbon dioxide produced, which means that there may be more carbon dioxide in suspension than maybe they're used to in other years of this particular style.
And what's also interesting to note is they do have like the dry to sweet scale on the back of this one. So you do see that this is, I think they call it semi-dry, or no, they call it medium dry.
Yeah.
So there's actually some sugar left over. These were some ripe grapes, which is nice. And so maybe what it is this year the grapes were actually picked later. There was less fermentation time. That's why you got the sweetness left over, and that's why you've got that carbonic acid left over. I mean, I'm just spitballing at this point, but this is really good. And I will say, like, I feel like the wine world on a whole has really moved past this whole like I'm too good for Beaujolais Nouveau thing, which was really in vogue like 5-10 years ago.
Mhm.
I think that movement was almost bigger than the ABC movement or the anti-Merlot movement. Like, people are like, oh, I don't drink the Nouveau crap, I only drink Cru Beaujolais.
Yep.
And Cru Beaujolais again can be beautiful, but I could never be bummed out about this $9 bottle of wine that I got. Like, for the money, I think Beaujolais Nouveau is one of the best values out there.
It's kind of a bummer that it comes out the third week in November, because this is think about it, it's a chilled red wine with high acidity. You ought to be drinking this when it's 90 degrees outside, right?
Yeah, if it could last that long, this would be great as like a summer wine.
Exactly. It's a summer wine that gets released in November. Your timing is all off, Beaujolais. Get your act together.
I mean, it could. If you've got a rapport, you just put that in and wait and see what happens.
So in the comments, the talk about Thanksgiving wine sparked some discussions. Dimitri says the number one best Thanksgiving wine is champagne. And Kristen says, I'm still with Valerie Caruso, that rosé is great at Thanksgiving too. And I wholeheartedly agree with both of those sentiments.
I will also say Albarino and Riesling are great with Thanksgiving. But you know what else is great with Thanksgiving?
Sparkling
Chardonnay.
Motherfucking Beaujolais Nouveau.
That's don't cuss in front of your kids, Jeff Solomon.
He won't remember, I swear.
You did swear.
He's 7 weeks old.
Okay. All right. Anything else, panel members, on the Gamay or Beaujolais Nouveau discussion topic?
I guess what I would say is the other thing is, because they come in at like, I think the most I ever spent for one was maybe $12. Like, as you're seeing them over the course of the next month, because it's weird. Like, a lot of places that sell it don't even realize it's a big deal. So, as you're seeing them more and more on the shelves over the course of the next month, pick up several versions, several different producers. The DeBoeuf one is probably the one that most everybody will find. But try them all and see which one you like the best, and take little notes, and every year, just see for yourself how these things can change. It's a fun little, it's like a scavenger hunt,
And yes, definitely go if you want to have a little bit of fun, go pick up a bottle of this. But then look for Beaujolais in any, and we should mention that when you're looking at the Cru Beaujolais, that I don't think, for the most part, I don't think they say Beaujolais on them anymore. So you got to be looking for the name, because they wanted to kind of distance themselves from the whole Beaujolais Nouveau. So, you're going to have to go look for the Brouillé or the Chenas, or, you're going to have China, I should say. You need to go look for them specifically. So ask your wine shop. They can explain to you, because there's a huge variety in what you get. Dimitri was commenting on, if you want more delicate reds or if you want more hard hitting, like there's quite a different expression between all of the crus. So talk to your wine purveyor, but give the crus a shot as well, because they can be amazing for $15.
Yeah, and ask your wine guy about the terpene content in them as well.
Make sure to do that.
Yeah, if you're able to strip the varnish off a table, then probably you don't want
it. Oh, you don't like you don't watch the Mendocino terpenes? They're great.
Okay. All right. Well, good discussion on that, guys. I hope people will go check those things out. But now let's move on and let's get into the hard-hitting booze news. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes some pretty silly things. John Ruyak, I'm excited about that this week.
Yeah, this isn't silly at all, and this is, while disappointing, not totally unexpected at all. New Belgium Brewing, the largest craft brewery in Colorado, sold itself to Lion Little World Beverages, which is a subsidiary of Kirin Brewing out of Japan. The portion of the Kirin Brewing empire that purchased New Belgium is based in Australia. So, the reasons for it in the article that were put in the Denver Post 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. This was just announced 2 days ago. They got to the point where they have aspirations to be a larger brewer, and they hit a capitalization ceiling where they just couldn't go any further without seeking outside funding. So I guess, again, not unexpected, but disappointing nonetheless, because this is up there with Sierra Nevada and Sam Adams, as far as reputation within the craft brewing industry. But hey, we got crying babies and barking dogs.
Yeah. Hey, Weston, calm down, bro.
PETA, have another rice cracker. There you go. Marley, don't fart. Oh, don't throw it in the trash.
Okay.
So, but this is a watershed moment amongst all the other things. I mean, the Sam Adams thing with Dogfish Head was kind of an interesting move, because Sam Adams has started to become a little bit, I don't want to say irrelevant, but had gotten a little long in the tooth in their ideas, wherein Dogfish Head is very, I don't want to say avant-garde, but a little more daring as far as a brewery goes on a national craft level. But New Belgium has just got a lot of different irons in the fire with their different releases, their barrel programs, their sour beer programs, these things that they're staying at the forefront in the development of craft beer, and yet in their aspirations to continue to grow, they ran up against just these roadblocks that they couldn't overcome without seeking outside help. So, I mean, it just goes to, there's a lot of things we can discuss about this, but it's very telling that the economics of beer has changed dramatically. Mm-hmm. You can't go to your local bank and say, hey, I want to borrow $300 million to turn ourselves into a national brewing concern. And you can't go and borrow that $300 million to do that when you're profiting probably about a half a cent to a penny per beer that you sell. So it's tough. I mean, margins in the brewing industry are pretty low, especially when you're packaging. I mean, if you're doing nothing but draft sales like we do at Lizard Tail, it's a lot easier to make your nuts, right? But when you're packaging, it for retail consumption, it's tough. I mean, think about it. Most breweries you walk into, and you're paying for the experience, right? There's music, there's people to talk to, there's art, there's your friends, and you're paying $5 to $6 a pint. When you go to the grocery store and you pick up a 6-pack of one of your local craft breweries, it's what, $8.99, $9.99? The grocery store's taking a cut, the distributor's taking a cut, the wholesaler's taking a cut. So the brewery's sending that out the door at probably $2 for that 6-pack. And it's just tough. And when you think about it, when we did the math in Costa Rica, I mean, a bottling line costs $40,000.
Wow.
And when you're thinking about what you're going to sell it for, and you're making 25 cents per bottle, maybe if you're lucky, in a blue water market where there's not a lot of blood in the water. You have to sell 160 cans or bottles of beer in order to pay for that bottling line. And that's just a simple, like 8 bottle a minute type of thing where, you've watched Laverne and Shirley. You saw those, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, and hundreds of bottles going around. Those bottling lines cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, I mean, it's just tough.
So to add on to a couple of things, so New Belgium is the 4th largest craft brewer in the United States behind Yuengling, Boston Beer, and Sierra Nevada.
Yep.
So yeah, this is a big hit to the craft beer demarcation line, right? But what I really find interesting about this one is just New Belgium as a whole, like the kind of company that it is / was, right? This is a company that sold itself to its employees.
Yeah.
This is a company that has achieved B Corporation status, which means that it meets the highest standards of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose. This was very much a company that was about giving back, about being a positive force in the community, and not to, and it's a big change because this is going as part of this deal. The employees won't own it anymore.
They strove to do everything right within their industry.
Yep.
And they did.
They did.
And they did. They succeeded. And still it's not enough.
And very transparent with their books, with everything. So I don't think, I was trying to find it, but I don't think this has been approved by the employees yet. So I think it still has to go through that process. So it could still not happen. But as part of that, like, I think it said like 300 employees are going to get at least $100,000 out of this, and many substantially more.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of positives to this sale. And,
Yeah.
I think back to when we first started talking about these buyouts and how negative we were against them. And I don't know if it's because it's happening so much or it's because we like the breweries that it's happening to. But I mean, I see a lot of positives in this one, and I saw a lot of positives with the Boston Brewing Dogfish one as well. And, this, as always, they say that this isn't going to change the beer, right? It's still going to be made the same. It's primarily for distribution and capital, right, John? I mean, that's what we're looking at.
It's about capacity and distribution.
Yeah.
Capacity and distribution. Yeah.
Well, and I do think there's something else that's being overlooked. I don't know if you guys know. I went to Japan for 10 days like about 7 years ago, so I'm an expert in Kirin, and I know that when I went there, Kirin was testing out their frozen beer, which was Kirin Ichiban served in a plastic cup, topped with soft serve Kirin Ichiban foam head on top that you would eat with a spoon. You're telling me New Belgium isn't going to get one of those machines and just have some fun? Come on now.
Yeah, I see the differences. I think it's harder for us. We want to come up with the positives because this is, for us, Eccles, you and I, this is a beer that we grew up with sort of in Colorado, right? We came into craft beer and kind of evolved with the different things they were doing. Personally, I've had less than a 6-pack of Fat Tires in my entire life.
I mean, Fat Tire, sitting at Old Chicago's, drinking Fat Tires and Buffalo Golds was a standard for me on Fridays after work for a while. I mean, Fat Tire was the beer that got me into craft beer.
Well, you know what my favorite memory is listening to everybody go, "Oh yeah, could I get a flat tire?" Oh, that was my favorite. Get out of Dodge, you square.
Yeah, but it was it is a Fat Tire is a founding beer in the American craft beer movement. I mean, it's a bellwether product, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, I don't know, are we reaching for justification because this one is a little closer to the bone? It seems like it could be, but think about it. I mean, even though all these employees, and I'm not sure, I don't remember how many there are, 700 people are going to get 100,000 or more. And that's nice for them. It's great for, that their ESOP is now going to bear some fruit, but then it's done.
Then it's done. Yep.
Right. And now you've got $100,000, but you don't own anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're an employee. That's different. Right.
And I'm sorry, I'm in time travel mode. They're selling like a majority of their shares to Kirin Ichiban, or
100%.
All of it.
100%. Wow. Oh, yeah. I mean, and I guess the thing is, just kind of echoing what y'all been said, I think there really was a big difference. Like, the buy-up of Ballast Point, we all saw those beers change and just get tired, right? I remember still my buddy C. Colton from the Beatdown show talking about how he was never going to drink another St. Archer's again after they sold out, because it was just, they came up and they sold out, and it was like they never really gave anything to the craft community. But then I think about Lagunitas, and it's like they haven't changed at all since selling at first 50% and then finally 100% to Heineken. I think that we do see these respected big craft brewers putting their heart and soul into it, finding a way to get more capital and finding a way to like just do really cool stuff, and I think that in the end, that's what really matters. Dare I say, before, and I'm sorry, I hate to be the one to kind of shit on this. Sorry, Weston. I hate to be the one to shit on this, but like, I don't know, New Belgium in the last maybe 3 years, really, I haven't been that into in general. But put a Voodoo Ranger in front of me, ooh, I'm so excited. I'm really not. Then again, like their collaboration beers, like I love those. I love their sours, but like I don't know. They've kind of had a grocery store vibe, even going back to Fat Tire. Like that was always before I even realized what craft beer was. That was always kind of like a grocery store beer. You know. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna get killed. I don't have the chat open right now. I'm sure they're murdering me right now.
No,
But
no.
like, but so I don't think that this changes much about who New Belgium is and what they're trying to do. I think we've seen what they've been and what they're trying to do. They make delicious beers. You know, again, I like the wackier ones that they do. But they're gonna keep going, just like Lagunitas is gonna keep going, just like Elysian. Whoops, fuck those guys. So you know, I mean, it's just you know, I think it's a brewer to brewer cases. I can't get I can't get mad at you, and I think this is going back to like early on in the show. I used to be like, who gives a shit? You just made $1 billion for being a brewer. Go for it, dude. Lizard Tail, please sell out. I want my friends to be happy. Like seriously.
I think New Belgium's successfully straddled that craft beer grocery store thing. I don't have any problem with, you know, the Voodoo Rangers, the Voodoo Imperial IPAs, the Voodoo line. That to me, I mean, I think they successfully did that. I will say,
how do you feel about the Juicy Voodoo Hazy Ball?
I don't know. Is a complete personal perception. I mean, yeah, sometimes the beers taste big, like they're almost too clean, right? They're almost too well made. Is that even a thing? Something can be too well made. But
well, yeah. Have you seen my jawline?
Oh yeah, movie star quality right there. So yeah, I mean, and that other we had another part of this discussion before the show is like, Eccles just said. So does the Brewers Association redefine what a craft beer is now? Does New Belgium no longer a craft brewer because they're owned by a huge international conglomerate?
Yeah, I mean that's you know, when it comes to what is a craft beer, it'll be interesting to see if this moves the needle in Colorado at all. You know what I mean? I'm sure it will. So it'll be interesting to see. All right, anything else on this one, guys?
I don't know.
just because this thought crossed my mind. Sorry, John. This thought crossed my mind. It's just like, do we even care anymore, like whether or not something is defined as craft? Because honestly, like half the retailers don't even know the difference. You go to a fucking like a chain restaurant, like sorry, Weston, go to like Chili's, and look on their wall of all their craft beers, and like none of them are except for Sam Adams, none of them are craft beers. So it's like, but then again, it's like I get what they're saying. You know, there's still some delicious beers there. So we got to think about what that means. You know, we see a lot of our favorite craft beers now with the independent logo on it. But even then, I mean, really, aren't we just trying to like define and put a label on what we think is cool and what isn't cool? I remember when Green Day got signed to Reprise after leaving Lookout Records, and everyone's like, they sold out. They're not on an independent record label anymore. But like, have you looked at Lookout's catalog? Like, there's 100 bands that are on that label. Like, how independent was Lookout Records to begin with? I'm sorry, man. I'm just saying, like, it's just all about classifying what's cool and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, too many people like you, so I can't like you anymore. Go ahead, listen to Dookie. It's a great album, man.
Just one last thing. I mean, I think in the end, if they are able to increase their distribution, put their product in the glass of people that are macro beer drinkers, and it could help chip away at the macro beer monolith. You know, it could help. It'll be a little bit of trickle down economics for beer, I guess.
You had to go there, bro. You had to get political.
No, if it grows the appreciation for full, bold tasting beers, highly crafted beers, rather. I mean, it is a manufacturing process. There's no doubt about it. And scale has its own directive towards quality in and of itself to a degree. It's tough, but I guess it hits close to home. I'm not quite as exercised about this as maybe I was before, but maybe it's just I'm inured to the pain now.
Well, speaking of John being in pain, bump, 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 bump.
No. We need Al Michaels. Do you believe in miracles?
Oh
Yes!
my God. Can I just say something? And I'm sorry. I need to get these matchups in front of me because last week, even though I'm playing for nothing, and John Ruyak's playing for nothing at this point either, it was super exciting. So forgive me for taking a moment to pull this stuff up. It's going to be worth it. I swear.
Sorry, Weston.
By the way, we're recording on a Thursday night this week. I'm already losing, which is whatever. I haven't started any players yet. I'm gonna win. Don't worry about that. Okay. So here we go. Oh, Dimitri, you're watching live. This is great. And I don't even have the chat open, so I can't even watch you get tilted. But you know what? My God. Dimitri, Kyle Allen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Auden Tate, Tevin Coleman, J.D. McKissick, whoever that guy is, David Montgomery, Deshaun Watson. How about just this? Your two quarterbacks in a 2-quarterback league, Dimitri, scored a total of 7 points. So to put that in perspective, the player on my team who scored the least points, Josh Reynolds, my third wide receiver, and I put him in a pinch, scored 8 points. You suck, Dimitri. You don't just suck a little bit, though. You scored 82 points this week. I scored 198. That's like I lapped you, bro. You are the worst fantasy football player I've ever seen in my entire life. You should be ashamed. Now,
what place is he in?
He's in 5th place now. I don't know where he was before, but he's worse off now. Everybody's worse off after having met me. Wait, that doesn't sound right. What I'm saying is, he's probably not going to make the playoffs after I beat him again this week. How is that possible? I don't know. I'll figure out a way. I will say, and John, we'll get to you in a second because this is atrocious. Your win. I can't believe this.
Hold on a second, Jeff. Like, you talk to Dimitri. Dimitri deserves the chance to respond. So,
oh, sure. Go ahead, buddy.
Before you said anything, he said, I have to be honest. My team is a total fraud this year. It's ridiculous that I am in a playoff spot. It's only because of the Pats defense that I am not at the bottom of the league. And then you went on your rant.
I wish I would have seen the chat. I would have been nicer to you, Dimitri.
He responded with, may I remind you Jeff Solomon, that I am still the defending champion.
Yeah. You played like a champion last week. See what I did? I put chump in champion. But here's the thing. Jeff Eccles, tremendous victory. You're all the way in third place now. Thank you for at least holding off the buzzsaw that is Rhea for one more week. I'm kind of scared of her team in general. And John, we'll get to you in a second, but this has to be said. Cody, you fucking shark snake. How's it feel? The week that you finally start Miles Sanders, because you know that Jordan Howard is out. The week you finally get to start the guy that you stole from me in the draft. He put up 3 points. 3 points. You know what? I tricked you. I hate Miles Sanders. He's the worst prospect of all time, and you're the worst player of all time. I'm glad you lost. You suck, Cody, you shark snake. Now, John, please regale us with your victory this week.
So Sunday morning, I text these two guys, I need a miracle, right? And then Solomon goes on a tirade. I'm like, check the goddamn waiver wire in your free agent list. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I missed it. Anyway, so I think I was up 90 to 87 going into Monday or Sunday night. And thank God for Phillip Rivers throwing 4 picks. I won 92 to 87 or something like that.
John, I cannot believe that you won starting. Oh my God.
Well, I Adam Thielen, I don't even think I benched him. He was still on my active roster.
You know what's really sad? One of your wide receivers that plays for Kansas City, I don't even know his first name.
Had 4 points.
Robinson? Like, I know him. I've seen a profile picture before. Like, he's not even like the 6th option on the team. I don't know why you started him. He got 1 target for 0 catches and 0 points. You started David Johnson, who didn't even play and hasn't played for weeks because he's got this thing called a back. You started Blake fucking Jarwin, tight end for Dallas, who's their 2nd string tight end behind Jason Witten, who came out of retirement. Think about that for a second. You lost your starting job to somebody who came out of retirement, and you're starting him on your team. Do better, John. You started Jalen Richard? This is the worst team I've ever seen in my life. You do not get to shrug your shoulders and go, I don't know why I'm losing. And you don't get to take credit for how well you did at the beginning of the season. Because like I've been saying, this game is all just fucking luck, man. When somebody who doesn't give a shit about his team wins in heroic fashion, this is not exciting. I'm kicking you out of the league next year, John. This is ridiculous.
Thank you.
All right. What a
He's like, I've only been playing for 3 years. I don't have time to figure out what a free agent pool is.
what an episode.
On your phone, there's a button that says players. Where there's
I'm still waiting for a waiver clearance on a running back. So do your job, Commissioner.
You're waiting for a waiver clearance? What are you talking about? This is all automated. How about you do your job and read the rules to the game you're playing? Read the rules to the game you're playing. Hey, everybody, don't play Monopoly with John Ruyak. He doesn't know how to play because he doesn't read rules.
All right, I'm gonna break this bar fight up before it gets any worse and call
I'm about to throw this bag of turkey and stuffing chips all
Last
across
call,
the room.
Solomon. Last call.
Last call.
last call. Time to put the kids to bed, take the dogs out. All the things that we do at the end of
What
a
are
show.
you trying to say?
All right, so John Riak, if the folks are looking to follow us on social media, where's the best places they can do it?
Hey, you know what? You can follow us on Twitter. That's We Like Drinking 1. That's the numeral 1. Follow us on Instagram or look up that Facebook group called The Tavern. We Like Drinking /tavern. WeLikeDrinking.com/tavern. Thanks. Cool place. You can find out how to mix screwball liquor with chocolate milkshakes on The Tavern.
We'd love to hear what you think about the show. So visit Apple Podcast and search up We Like Drinking and leave us a big fat 5-star review. And if you like it enough to let us know what you think about it, we would love to hear some thoughts. Jeff Solomon, if they've done all that and they want to do more, what can they do?
I've got a crying baby. I need binkies and diapers, and that costs money. WeLikeDrinking.com/pledge.
We would love to get your help there. We are honestly looking at finally getting together, all three of us together early next year. So we need a little bit of help to make that happen. It's going to be epic if we do. So, and
what's an Uber going to be from Napa Valley to Albuquerque?
like $10 or something like that. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us to talk a little Gamay and a little Beaujolais Nouveau. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit WeLikeDrinking.com/episodes to check out our show notes and find a link to all the messages or links that we talked about. But we've reached the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
So there's since Halloween, there's been this like box that someone dropped off that we're supposed to like put in $1 and you can pick out 3 like mini candies to help find lost children, help disadvantaged kids. It's a fundraiser, and it's an honor system. You pick out 3 things and you put in $1. So, if I have $1, I've fished out all the Whoppers and the dark chocolate Kit Kats and all that stuff. And there's a bunch of grape Jolly Ranchers in there. They're probably not going to taste as good as this Beaujolais Nouveau.
Probably not. Jeff Solomon.
Hey, man, I just want to say, everybody, drink more Beaujolais Nouveau. I'm not even going to be funny. I'm not going to break out in song. Just drink more Beaujolais Nouveau. With turkey and stuffing potato chips. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and just a quick little extra final thought. Dimitri, last year's champion, just Facebook messaged me a little advice for my roster this week.
That's called collusion, man. You need to text him back. I want nothing. No quid pro quo.
Oh, and in other news, Jeffrey Epstein is still dead.
And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast.
Where you never alone. That's the worst one we've done in a week.
Ever. Worst one ever. Oh my goodness. And now I get to edit it and have it released in an hour. So
there you go.
Yeah. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Live streaming is off.
Man. Solar, I'm sorry we didn't get to call you out for joining Trump Studios. Great to see you in there. Dimitri, awesome to have you here. Kristen, awesome to have you here. Mom, great to have you here. So much conversation. Matthew, I don't know, Matthew.
Oh, I should have been tasting a Diet Pepsi next to my Beaujolais Nouveau.
Awesome having you all join us on a Thursday night. Do Thursdays work better for people better than over Wednesdays?
Wow, thanks everybody. I don't think it works better for Jeff Eccles, but
no, but fuck that guy. So yeah, we didn't even say it on the show. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Because we're done with that. But have a safe and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We won't talk to you until Black Friday next week. So be safe. Guys, anything else?
Yeah.
Jellied cranberry sauce out of the can. Don't even cut it up. Just dump it out onto a plate so that the ridges from the can are still showing when you cut it up and put it on people's plates.
What are you talking about? Get a bag of real cranberries and follow the very simple instructions. And some sugar and some water in a pot. And that's it. You're good to go. The jelly with the thing. Oh, come on.
No, you got to have the can.
No, come on.
I mean, make the real stuff too. But
take that shit back to flyover.
It's 79 cents. It's 79 cents a can.
Come on.
You gotta
go down to the bog with a net. Pick your own cranberries.
You have to serve it with a butter knife so you can get exactly which can line you want to cut.
Exactly, that's right. So you can divide it up.
No, you use a spoon. You use a spoon to serve cranberries.
No, you use a butter knife and a fork. You cut it and it falls over, and then you grab it with a fork and put it on your plate.
You jack up the lines along there.
You're cutting it thin like Donald Duck and Mickey in the Beanstalk, trying to cut that bean into the smallest portion ever. It's just little floppy, clear little.
All right, viewers.
Oh my goodness.